Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I am now reaching to question 3.6.1. It's my own numbering and it's also not in the handout. I just forgot to type this 3.6.1 because I thought of doing it before time. Now, I will do both this question and questions 1 that follows. But it's a very short question. I'm not going to do all the details in question 1. It says you borrowed 2,450 on the 14th of March at 14% per annum compounded monthly and agreed to pay it back in 6 equal payments. The minute you agreed, please circle the account in the period in which you have agreed to circle it. Calculate the monthly payments if the first payment is made at the end of the month. This is very important because it brings me to what I highlighted in the beginning. I have to remind you of this because this is very important. One time period after the debt is incurred, meaning now you are making a payment one time period after the debt is made. If the payment is made in the same period in which you borrow the money, let us say in this case we borrow money on the 14th of March and we start making payment on the 31st of March. This is not a period after, just few days. So now this deserves the usage of the button called BGN because we made a payment at the beginning. It's not 1 month later, it's in the same month. We borrow money beginning of this month or middle of the month, at the end of the month, which is the same time period we're making a repayment. That means it's not one time period after the debt is incurred, meaning it's in the same period or the same month in which the debt was incurred. So now that means the payment took place at the beginning of the period. That is where now the function BGN will be used. So now how do we deal with this scenario? We borrowed an amount of money, 2,450, at the beginning of or on the 14th of March. Then we need to know the value of the loan at the end of March first of all, because the borrowing took place on the 14th. So our focal date, so far temporal focal date, will be how much is in the account at the end of March. So now, which is the same period money was borrowed, we are making a payment, meaning it is not one time period after the payment was made. It is in the same month. So that's why BGN will be used. Now we first need to calculate the future value, then after we compute the monthly payments that will take place for the next 6 months. So now let us first say we are computing the future value. Then we need to say how much do we have in the account first of all, or how much have we borrowed. We are calculating the future value at the end of March, where we borrowed 2,450. 1 plus how much is the interest rate? The interest rate is 14% per annum compounded monthly. So now this will be 0.14 then we multiply 0.14 by let me first calculate interest first before the future value, because now it will be a little bit more complex in this way. Let me just calculate the interest for the number of days. The interest for the number of days. Then the interest, I wanted to include that in the future value. The interest for the number of days will be 2,450 times by 0.14 times by how many days are we talking about? March has 31 days. 31 minus 14 will give us 17. So now it times by 17 over 365. Assume 365 days in a year. Then this will be 2,450 times by 0.14 times by 17 over 365. So our interest is 15 rand 98 cents. So this is the interest only for the 17 days. So now we can say amount owing, which is future value at the end of March. Future value end of March, or amount owing at the end of March, plus 2,450, we get 2,465 rand 98 cents. So now this is the amount that will be in the account at the end of the time period, which is at the end of March in this case. Then now, because we know how much will be in the account, then we need now to start calculating the monthly payments. We need now to start calculating the monthly payments. So now, because we are looking for the monthly payments, then we need to say this is how much we have in the account, plus minus 2,465 rand 98 cents is the present value the person currently is owing. Then let me not forget to highlight this with a different color, BGN. So this is how much we owe at the end of March, of which we borrow money on the 14th of March, 17 days, and it's in the same month and we are making a payment. So plus minus 2,465 rand 98 cents is our present value. Interest is 14 divided by 12, and our N is 6. We compute our PMT. Make sure that your calculator is on BGN. How do we do that BGN calculation? We say second function future value. Then in your screen you say BGN. If you say again second function future value, it disappears. Second function future value, there is BGN. Then let me begin my calculation. Plus minus 2,465.98 is my present value. 14 divided by 12 is my interest. 6 is my N. Compute PMT. Then my payments are 423 rands 1 cent. 423 rand 1 cent are the monthly payments. So now, in other words, the person who borrowed 2,465, so with the person who borrowed 2,450 on the 14th of March and start making payments in the same month of March, which is end of March, where BGN must be used because it's in the same period. It's not one time period after the amount was borrowed. So that's why now we need to use the BGN. For 6 payments, then this person will have to pay 423 rand 9 cents in order for him to settle his account. And now these will be the 6 payments that he's going to be making. Now with that, guys, being said, then we have sorted the first part of the question. The second part of the question is really not a transmesh, and I will not be completing this question. I'll just leave you I'll leave it for you. Please don't forget in your calculator to say second function future value, so that you remove the BGN that was in the screen, because if you don't do that, it will give you the wrong answers in your next calculation. So now let us then now continue to questions 1. And questions 1 is very easy question. We are required to calculate the annual rate of interest that they are charging. We already know what is required. What are they telling us? They say game sells the Technics mini system on the following terms: 3,810.99 cash. If we buy the cash, this is how much we pay on spot. Second option, we deposit 780 and make 24 monthly payments of 186 rands, meaning we pay 186 for the next 24 months if we decide to deposit 780 and we don't buy cash. So the reason why we are required to calculate the interest is because the interest is charged if 186 payments are made for 24 months with a deposit of 780. So now it means option number 1 is not taken, so we don't take option number 1, because when you make cash payment, that just becomes financial accounting. So we don't take into account option number 1, but we obviously know that that is the cost of the system that we are buying. And now, meaning we are saying 3,899 minus cash deposit of 780. This will give us the present value. Then after we say our n is equal to 24, and we know that monthly we are going to pay 186 rand. What are we required to calculate? We are required to calculate our interest. So we compute our I times by 12. Whatever you get times by 12, you'll see how much will be your I. So now let us just be quick in computing this question. We have 3,899 minus 780 is our PV. Then after we have our minus 186 as our PMTs. We have 24 as our N. And what are we looking for? We are calculating interest. Your calculator will say calculating. Then after immediately it will give you 3.092 something. Whatever answer you get, you multiply that answer by 12 before you give it to me. Then when you multiply it by 12, why are we multiplying by 12? Because interest, it will be compounded monthly, 24 monthly payments. Then the annual rate of interest will be 37.10. 0.10 for 467 589%. So this will be the annual rate of interest that will be compounded monthly. So now this will be in response to this question. Listen to my next question, where we are buying a say 75 centimeter TV from the same company game, where now we will be using the functionality of Amort. How to use Amort? Very powerful. Amort is a button that you use to calculate a balance when a certain payment is made or before a specific payment is made. With that, guys, thank you. You've been very wonderful.